Hi there, I'm Jason Regenscheid with Edina Realty in the North Oaks office here, and I specialize in contract for deed financing for both buyers and sellers. Today I wanted to talk just a little bit about the advantages for a seller in doing a contract for deed on their property. Why would they want to do a CD on their home? And there's a few key reasons that it's beneficial for a seller to be able to do a contract for deed on their property in today's market. The number one reason that it's a good idea for a seller to do a contract for deed on their home in today's market is that they're essentially operating in a seller's market. As many of you know, financing restrictions have become tighter, and there's a lot of buyers that can't qualify for traditional financing. So a lot of people are out there looking for contract for deeds, and there's not a ton of inventory. So if you're able to do a contract for deed on your property, you're essentially operating in one of the niche markets that is a seller's market in today's world, which is a great place to be. A lot of times it will result in you getting a better price for your home just because of the fact that there is that competition in the market. There's a lot of buyers looking for contract for deed financing or other forms of seller financing because they can't go out and get a conventional mortgage or an FHA mortgage due to the fact that they had a foreclosure or did a short sale or had a bad credit spell, a victim of the economy, anything along those lines. And in that, it gives you more negotiating power as a seller because you're going to have competition for your house. If you're somewhat within market value, you're going to have a good amount of buyer traffic through the home if you're able to offer your property on a contract for deed. Now, once you do find an offer on the house, which you should be able to do fairly quickly given that you have a good agent that is well versed in contract for deed financing, once you get that offer in and you have it accepted, the one main point that is very helpful for you as a seller is the fact that you don't have to have any sort of formal appraisal done on that house. Now, as you know, one of the main obstacles as a seller in today's market is getting that property to appraise with an FHA appraisal or even a conventional appraisal, just because of the fact that you're competing with all those short sales and foreclosures that nobody wants to be competing with, but it's the reality of today's world. So a nice part about doing a contract for deed on the house, there is no formal appraisal that needs to be done on the property, and there's no underwriting or anything like that that has to go through on the buyer side of everything. Now, speaking of the buyer's financing, when it comes into today's market, many sellers wind up paying the buyer's closing costs, as many of you already know and has been explained to you. The nice part about contract for deed financing is you don't have to pay that 3 to 4% in closing costs. It's a lot smaller in today's market. It's a lot like a cash deal. I see a lot of them right around $1,000 to close on the property, which is a very cheap closing cost comparatively to an FHA or conventional mortgage. So that's helpful in a sense that you're not having that out-of-pocket expense that you would in a traditional sale. Now, the other nice part is you're really in control of the buyer's financing. You have the ability to approve them. So there are no last-minute underwriting surprises or anybody that's asking for more pay stubs or anything like that, because it's your job to be able to approve that buyer. Now, you can talk with a reputable loan officer or talk with your realtor, and they'll be able to tell you more information about that buyer's finances and whether or not they should be able to be approved for your property. But it's nice that once you do decide, hey, we're going to approve these buyers, there are no last-minute glitches that can come up in the underwriting process that we see a lot of these days with FHA or conventional financing. Now, obviously, last but not least, the return on investment when doing a contract for deed for you these days is much better than most people are getting in the stock market or any other sort of investment in today's market. So it's a great investment for you as a seller if you're looking to get a good return on your money. Contract for deed is definitely the way to do it. And we'll do a little bit of quick math here, and I'll show you exactly how the numbers work out for you as a seller in today's market when you sell on a contract for deed. Alright, let's do a little bit of quick math here and show you where you would wind up. We're looking at my iPad here. Show you where you would wind up as a seller. If you sold your property on a contract for deed, how much are you actually going to make in interest for the term of the loan? Now, the majority of loans these days, if you're going to do a contract for deed, the majority of them have anywhere between a 3 and 7 year balloon payment. So we are going to go with a 5-year balloon payment and show you what you'd make in interest on a loan. We're going to take an average sales price of $220,000. We're going to amortize it over 360 months, which is obviously a 30-year amortization. We're going to do a 7.5% interest rate, which is pretty typical. I see a lot of interest rates between 6 and 8. Now, the monthly payment that you would be receiving on a $220,000 loan is going to be $1,538.27. So that's what you're going to get paid every month by that buyer. Now we're going to show you the amortization table here. We're going to go down to 60 months. So we're going to do a 5-year balloon and show you what you would make in that 5-year term period. Now, at the end of 60 months, the buyers would still owe you $208,158.48. Now the interest that you would have made in that time period is just over $80,000. You'd have made $80,454.68. Now this is showing exactly why it's beneficial for you as a seller to be looking at contract for deed options. So if you add that $80,000 to the $220,000 that you just made on the sale of the property, you're essentially looking at a $300,000 sale price, if you will. So given that information, you're essentially selling your property for a lot more than you would have if you would have just had a traditional sale. Now obviously you had to wait 5 years to get the full balloon payment out of the house, but these numbers really break down a lot better than they would if you were just selling it and walking away. So if you have the ability to do a CD on your property these days, it's a great way to go. It's a great way to make a great return on your investment these days. Now in today's market, selling real estate is all about options, as you can see, and if you can open up the contract for deed option to the sale of your house, it's something that can be really beneficial to you as a seller. If you have any more questions about contract for deed or seller financing in any form, you can search my other YouTube videos. I have a lot of info out there for both buyers and sellers, or you can give me a call, send me an email, check out my blog, and I'd be happy to help you out in any way that I can. Again, I'm Jason Regenscheid with the North Oaks Edina Realty office, and I'd be happy to help you out. Thanks.